Amazing. Good morning, good afternoon. Very welcome to uh, this dialogue on alternative future payout through sub-regional dialogue, and this is also our fourth SDG plus forum, SDG 16 plus forum. So basically, this meeting is being organized in collaboration with Taiwan Aid. We are very thankful to Taiwan Aid for their support. And then we are very thankful to TDF, Taiwan Democracy Fund, and ARGO for all your support. And this meeting is basically going to uh, talk about various dialogues, especially around the validation methodology with the foresight practitioners to determine, appropriate and facilitate conversation, basically about SDGs implementation, fostering collaboration, foresight, and accountability to build a more just, inclusive, and peaceful world. And I will very briefly mention why this we are organizing this conversation, as we know that we are halfway through SDGs implementation, and SDGs are failing, and there has been a lot of dialogue on Summit of the Future. So, are we going to deviate the attention from SDGs, or are we going to talk mainly about what we are going to do post SDGs? But to our sense, this dialogue will also facilitate the inputs from our participants about how do we see the future, and to engage in a sense making strategic conversation about how the future may look like, especially about this sector, to reflect on current trend and how they may evolve to shape the work of civil society organization in our region, and to think collaboratively about signals of change, plausible challenges, and opportunities for strategic innovation with special focus on governance and accountability. So, with this question, with this background, we will start the meeting. But some of the questions that we would want you to, keep in mind when we are collaborating, we are discussing, is about what trends are creating pressure on civil society and day-to-day operation. How are we responding to these pressure? Any approach that are we approaching to tackle to address these problems? And what are the challenges that we are, that we are exploring, or that we are feeling that at this point of time? So, without much ado, I will give the floor to Jay Hung, who is heading Taiwan Aid, and he's going to talk about more about from the Northeast Asian perspective. Jay, the floor is yours, and you have 15 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, 15 minutes, huh? How are you guys? Well, let me start with a story, because uh, in the early April this month, I went to attend the Center for Nonviolent Communication. They have international intensive training in Taiwan. And that consists of like more than 70 participants. And many of them are from Taiwan, from Hong Kong, from mainland China. There are 5 trainers. One of the trainers is from China, Beijing. 9 days training passing by smoothly. The trainers provide many important courses such as empathy, mediation, mindfulness. However, on the 8th day, almost the last day of the training, an accident happened because in one class, the Beijing trainer erased Hong Kong from the whiteboard without asking, under the premise of one China principle. The trainer in Beijing immediately felt the hostility from some Hong Kong and the Taiwan participants. and the relationship between them immediately became very tense. Feeling hostility from the Hong Kong interment participants, the Beijing trainer expressed feeling unsafe and broke down in tears at the end of evening circle. That's a big circle. Everyone is in there, insisting that she was only stating objective fact. The Hong Kong participant thought her behavior was very violent and stood up to refute it. After the evening circle, I went to Beijing trainer to express my views and speak publicly at the last day in the morning circle. And today, I'm going to share my views with you here. So that is my views. When the Russian-Ukrainian war started, in the line group of Taiwan Aid, our partners engaged in international humanitarian work soon conveyed an important message. In order to protect the personal safety of agency colleagues and support everyone in humanitarian relief work at the disaster site, the agencies would not take a position. Don't take sides. You must remain neutral. It's very important to keep our people safe when we start to do humanitarian work. So when the government failed, for example, two countries are at war, and the market fails, businessmen are unprofitable. The value of civil society organization became particularly prominent. I just want caution everyone. Save the Children was established in 1919 during World War I, and the CARE International was established in 1945 because of World War II, and World Vision was established in 1950 to assist families suffering from the Korean War. So, the CNVC also is also a civil society organization which engage in peace movement. It encouraged people to maintain a non-judgmental presence in their heart and a return to basic human needs to develop our humanitarian spirit. So that's my message to all the audience in the MVC circle, and also for today's forum. And because from Taiwan perspective, in the international situation of confrontation between China and the United States, Taiwan is in an extremely uncomfortable situation. So there's three observations that like a CSO worker experience here in Taiwan. First, the travel between Taiwan and the mainland China is increasingly hampered. It's more and more difficult for us, like exchange, like expert, or for only free traveling. It's difficult more and more than before. And the second, in mainland China, the civil society is a taboo word. It's not allowed to speak in a civil society. And the scholar in China have no choice but to translate it as city people's society. They use this, in English, it's all like civil society, but in Mandarin, it's different. It's called 公民社会 and 市民社会, and which like a hindered or like a limit the civil society's activities only within local activities. It's not go to the government. The civil society is not in the same level as to the central government. Okay, and then the third thing, misinformation and the disinformation on the internet are becoming increasingly difficult to identify. And the totalitarian country clamp down on speech on the internet. In the same time, democratic country condone extreme speech on the internet. So that's very troublesome. Okay, so for me, my ideal world, a platonic world for the future, is about truth. Truth is how can we make good use of AI technology to identify misinformation and the disinformation, and the smarter translation software to break the cultural barriers. And all national governance information is more transparent and accountable due to technological progress. And then go to goodness. Those in power have a deep understanding of the value of civil society and the return decision-making to public interest and the mutual assistance. That's my second wish. And for the third wish, it's about more spiritual, more about beauty. So I want just to quote the poetry from Rumi. He says, he wrote, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and the right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there." Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you so much, Jay, for this amazing presentation. And this talks widely about the nature of civil society and what do we see as how do we see ourselves in future. And the China and Taiwan relations, as yeah, it's not hidden, and we know about this. And we also know the situation of our Chinese civil society, where they have such so many limitations actually about, especially about the it clearly addresses the issues of freedom of expression, freedom of association. That is the basic of our ideology of this SDG 16. And obviously we are looking at more transparent and accountable civil society. We are looking at more, as you say, that there is a lot of hamper, especially for the civil society between Taiwan and China. There's lots of issues between these two civil societies. How can we address? And we see even these are reflecting in various United Nations institutions, where the UN is also has, they do not have their own decision. So this is also a time to actually question the UN, because the UN is considered as an independent autonomous body, but it is not. So I think this is also the time when we're talking about our issues. So thank you so much, Jay, and I would really appreciate your patience, and please stay in the meeting because I'm sure there will be questions. So thank you so much once again. And now I will invite our next speaker, Jamila Asanoa, who is heading ARGO, the civil society organization, this regional civil society organization based in Kazakhstan. So, Jamila, the floor is yours, and you have about 15 minutes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jyotsna. I have a few slides. Maybe if you can provide authorization where I can show, or you can help with demonstration of my slides.
Please give me 1 second, Jamila.
No
Maybe
problem.
Jay, may I ask you?
Yeah, how do I do that?
Yeah, just go to your name and make Jamila host. Jamila, you can share your, thank you so much, Jay. So you can share your screen.
Just a second. Okay. No, sorry. I don't know what happened because the screen is not, cannot share it. Just a second. Hmm. Maybe it would be better if Shudha can. Is it okay? Just no.
Yes, we got it.
We can see your screen.
Ah. Yeah. It's okay?
Yes, Jamila. Thank you.
Yes. Can you see now?
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Yes, we
Great.
can see
Thank
it
you.
clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. So, thanks, Jay, for explaining the, just key issue about your perspectiveness, and I can deliver my thoughts in Central Asia, how we are actually have an alternative future. So, and it's, some trends are very, similar, and some actually maybe we have to talk and discuss. We need to have more discussions. So yeah, the key question as questions for the presentation, there are actually three key issues. First is system trends, actually, because I have to talk about key trends that have an impact of development issues. The second is signals of change, actually, where we have some emerging issues where we have to be more focused, and we can suggest about weak signals actually for potential shift that may be significant in the future. So, and the third is transformation, meaning just here some recommendations or vision where and how we can provide more support in Central Asia region. About system trends, based on international trends in the civil society development, have been institutionalized a number of different mechanisms that adapted to support the Central Asia experience. There are a few of them actually. As the civil society sector is a new one after broken of Soviet Union, it's started since beginning of 90s. There are a lot of questions about the ethical issues code of ethics and following the fundamental principles and the standards. The World Association WANGO, actual of NGOs, have such kind of principles, and here in Central Asia, some organizations follow that principles and just sign or join this WANGO on the global level. So then Civicus monitor, the majority of you knows about this monitor when the 196 countries, and currently, in according to Civicus monitor, the status of civil society in Central Asia, nominated as closed environment. So, and then open OGP partnership. We had Kyrgyzstan who joined this OGP partnership together with Mongolia, and I just know that only 2 countries are joined, and some countries would like to join, for example, as mine, Kazakhstan, but there are limitations which are related with the human rights issues, with civil society, environment, and for following this opportunity, it's also complicated because actually there are some limitations on behalf of civil society issues. Then UPR, Universal Periodic Review, it's a unique mechanism of Human Rights Council, and every 4 or 5 years, UPR provide each state the opportunity to report on actions has taken to improve the human rights situations, and then receive recommendations by multi-stakeholder inputs. So in this case, actually, currently, the majority of our countries in our region are preparing this UPR report, and there are a lot of negotiations between human rights organizations and the governments. So, and I think it's a common issue which we also are talking and discussing and raising through different dialogues. EITI initiatives, it's conviction that the natural resources of the country are owned by its citizens, and here the issues about accountability and the transparency, there are key reports which needs to be done by the governments together with the civil society. We think that these issues need to be also followed. So the second trends which we're talking, it's civil society involvement in different alternative monitoring of implementation of the international conventions, and through all Central Asia countries, civil society participated in more than 200 international conventions and multilateral agreements. So, and here we have a lot monitoring and how it's implemented by in different countries. Also, there are no regional approach, but there are country-based multilateral agreements where, for example, there are issues between 2 countries. Currently, we have, for example, water issues on boundary between, for example, different countries. And here, one country needs to be care about this bilateral agreements in between countries. And then also we have to be sure about the international, the global cooperation, where the civil society institutions crossing borders and crossing the globe to elaborate effective mechanisms of responding to different challenges. For example, like security, protection of human rights defenders, social and economic development, poverty reduction, climate change, those type of, and etc. Those type of global cooperations, we have to be sure that how it's implemented in our country. So signals of change, I split them into external and internal, actually. So, but in general, I would say, following that the previous my slide related with the different, following the different indexes, would say, globally, the region in general, like have stagnated indexes or decreased or become worse actually. Not improvement and not better. And here we have to also work and to think how these indexes can have influences into our development agenda. So on the signals of change, here there are external influences related with geopolitical influence and the changes as external environment. And geopolitically, Central Asia is locating actually in between two big neighbors, Russia and China, and also from the south, Afghanistan is neighboring with Uzbekistan, and Iran is bordering with Turkmenistan. Actually, geopolitically, where the civil society needs to be have also, I would say, there are a lot of challenges related with those type of influences. So one more thing about self-identification of the region, and we identified that externally, Central Asia is not a lot how's called showing on the, for example, UN agenda or internationally as a civil society. And for us, there are steps to make forward for the make the civil society from the region more on the perspectives of the make more. I mean, just visual, make more visual. So, and then also globally, international trends when many countries in the world towards the decline of democratic principles and in general democracy, actually, it's also have influence into the development. There are internal signals of change, concept different strategies of national governments on civil society are developed. And then increased government funding in some countries and the weak financial support from other states with countries. In the same time, I would say that the international donors are leaving in general the region, and there is a very limited access to the financial support, but now it's become more worse, I would say. So then also different narrowing of civic space in terms of restrictions on unregistered initiatives, different protection of rights, media activities, and so on, and restrictions on peaceful assemblies. I would say it's also some signals which from internally from the region. Then regulation of the implementation of international projects, and here, I would like to mention about these different laws on foreign representatives, particularly Kazakhstan and Tajikistan have notification reporting about foreign financial support. And just recently, less than 1 month, when Kyrgyzstan accepted this foreign representatives law, and we hear a lot from the our neighbors in Kyrgyzstan, from human rights activists, that they are thinking about how to re-register their organizations, how to be not including to this foreign representatives list. So, and for example, in Turkmenistan, the country when we have all registration of internal projects before starting to work in Turkmenistan, it's a permission to get the registration of the projects from the Ministry of Foreign. So there are a lot of restrictions, and maybe yeah. So. Yeah, here. Think collaboratively about the signals. Actually, I would say that the collaboration or opportunity for multi-stakeholder engagement, we have for writing national voluntary reviews, and all countries have twice. We had submitted, actually, the government has submitted twice, and I would say that in 2022, 2023, based on the second submitting of second reports, we can see that the civil society started to be involved, and I think thanks for influences of working here, SDG 16 plus initiatives, Asia Development Alliance, and help from actually would say from this type of associations, we and capacity building of civil society help to be involved into these reports, and capacity building for Central Asians civil society just started since 2017-18 with development different trainings and the professional development of local experts, preparing case studies, and so on, and the providing different webinars and etc. As for future, we had a very good co-design or using participatory approach exercise, where we created the regional future strategic directions. We come together over 300 CSO leaders from 13 countries, from South Asia, East Asia, North Asia, I would say. It's not only Asian countries, but also participated here from the Eurasian, like Poland, like Belarus. Yeah, it's this. We had a co-design about what kind of strategic directions would be interesting and useful for the civil society. Here, some publications, but what could be taken into consideration that the issues related with the human rights and the equal rights, equal opportunity, inclusion issues, and regional development initiatives are in the priorities of this future opportunity. But I think that after COVID-19, maybe in the region we have to provide new vision for the future, where the region can be extend. And also some our colleagues from Mongolia, like from North Asia, participated in this exercise also, because there are a lot of similarities with the development, which we identified, and I think it's well interesting to see what is the outcome of this regional directions implementation. So, and as for recommendation, I have a few recommendations for the like I would say for transformation. First, it's it's need to be provide paradigms shifting of paradigm from the SDG implementation as a dream, and everyone knows that there are not achievable until 2030. So, and as Jyotsna mentioned in the beginning, the Summit of the Future would be a good opportunity for engage and that to make another dream, another goals. So then there is a need for advice governments on the development on different national strategy or action plans on human rights. For example, Kazakhstan just recently updated its human rights plan, which created by government, in Uzbekistan also since 2020. Time to time, there are a lot of dialogue platforms are, that implemented in Uzbekistan, for example. And there is a need to be a more stronger voice of civil society in such type of documents. Then significantly needs to strengthen the innovation type of components, create think tanks, different boot camps on different thematic issues. And here I would say about this people scorecard tool, which we successfully, for example, accepted in Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan for the second VNR publications. But also it's interesting that we had learning from Mongolia, for example, how the score was decreased. We saw the reports, and we'll see, that how it will be developed, because the 2025, 2026, and other VNR reports need to be provided, and we'll see how the people scorecard will show the implementation of SDG and the development in general. Then we are talking about the developed relationships as a networks in the countries, because very often the countries are working only for their own agendas. Then we were thinking about how to use all opportunities to promote in the interest of target groups, and then cross-sectoral platforms need to be created and strengthened. And also another one thing which I would like to share, that the trends in the development of capacity of local NGOs, civil society organizations, that needs to be capable of working directly with development organizations. We have some cases, but there are a lot of feedback about the localization of the development programs, because very often that everyone knows that the development programs are usually implemented by, for example, US-based NGOs or EU-based NGOs. I mean, just under here, there is an agenda and a lot of discussions, and that the ideas from civil society in general, that the strength and capacity of when local organizations can implement such kind of development programs. That's it from me, and I would be very happy to participate on the discussions. And I think we have to make someone, is someone in waiting room, or we just no? Okay, thanks. Is that's it from me? Yeah.
Thank you, Jamila. Maybe there are people in the waiting room. Can you please admit them?
Yes. Aoi and Long. Yeah.
And thank you so much, because you raised very important points, Jamila. I mean, when we talk about the issues of Central Asia, because we have seen largely the Central Asian civil society has largely been not mainstreamed. There are very few people, very few civil society organizations, even in the last 8 years that we have seen, even in our engagement with the APRSM and other groups, we have seen very few engagement from the civil society group from Central Asia. So I think you have made a very valid point. And then we have seen that how the civil society is considered closed by the civicus monitor. And we have also experienced this to some extent. But it's also nice to see that governments are opening up, even slowly, but they're opening up, especially in your country. In Uzbekistan also, we have seen that governments are slowly opening up. But there are some countries like Turkmenistan, I think we really need to work more. So, and also the capacity building of the civil society is more important. I think one of those important cultural diversity is also exists, that in our Asia region, very very unlike other regions in the world, where the Central Asia is more considered towards the Russian. And then so the language is a major challenge also that we consider. So I think we need to overcome, and we need to have very good interpreters. And very because we see the kind of we are facing similar issues, the financial challenges, the issues from the donor. And even the issues from the donor, those who are based in the global north, even in the north of the global south, there are issues, because the civil society spaces continuously shrinking, as we have seen that no VNR, especially in our Asia region, has mentioned about the issue of shrinking civic space. So I think this is also our responsibility to continuously talk about it and continuously fighting. So thank you so much for presenting your views on the Central Asia. And formally, I mean, we have the two presentations that we planned, but we have some colleagues. I see Urna. So Urna, would you like to discuss something from your region now, or would you like to share something?
Well, actually, I didn't really plan, but I was listened to very carefully, because it was really interesting and touch the issues we face, nowadays very, very, all the time. And first of all, the being neutral, being neutral when you have, because Mongolia also is between Russia and China, you see. So we always have this dilemma, and then we always try to be, being very polite and diplomatic at the same time, peaceful, etc. So for us, and then this also affects, or maybe also all the time influence the civil society organization's position. For example, we now have this war between Russia and Ukraine, right? So that there is always, you have to be very careful, because you may be seen as on side of one of these two, but we always say that we are for peace and we are for people in Russia and people in Ukraine, but we don't really want, the war is not the way to solve the issue, you see. So this should be very fundamental, and it should be always, kept in mind and all the time expressed, and, so this is the important thing. And I really appreciate, Jay, that you said that this neutrality is very important, and also the solidarity with people is very important. And this is important. At the same time, I'm very glad that in Central Asia, the civil society organizations is increasing, and there is already this, in some countries, there is a very good support, by the way, from the government side. Unfortunately, we don't really have in Mongolia such kind of thing, So in this regard, in some countries in Central Asia is quite good. But what I see in Mongolia is that the Mongolian civil society organizations in capital city, they are quite now trained. I mean, they experience it, how to interact with the government, how to advocate for laws and policies, and for different kind of advocacy purpose, and they actually quite successful in doing this kind of advocacy work. But I would say that a very big difference if you look at the civil society organizations at provincial in different provinces, so very big difference between the capacity and then between the opportunities, and then also knowledge and expertise, So for us, for CHRD, for example, and for some, for members of the Human Rights India Forum, for example, this forum actually has around 50 organizations. We are now trying to make every possible to use every possible opportunity to build capacity of local communities, local civil society organizations, to advocate and to work to interact with the local administration for issues of environment, for social issues and for human rights, etc. So I think that this for us is important. And then also we try to, because democracy is very new in Mongolia, it's very young. It's just 30 years, So when people talk about, in case of Mongolia, for example, even some civil society organizations, when they talk about democracy, they just think about elections, or they just think something very far from everyday life, But democracy is something that every day we should be, mindful of what are the principles of democracy and how it should be implemented and experience it and exercise it in our everyday life. So that's why we also trying to organize different kind of discussions and trainings, starting from trainings and discussions, and even now to defining some easy strategies at local level to advance the democracy based on focusing on certain issues, the issue that is very important for them. This issue may be environmental issue, or it may be like social issue like income or poverty issue, or maybe some other issue. So this is what we are now doing. And of course, there is a lot of reforms now taking place in Mongolia because we have done very good review of constitution, and according to this review, around 40 laws are now revised. So it's all very fundamental laws like land laws, or the development policy, planning, etc. So that in every these laws, actually, we are trying to be also be conscious about and mobilize people, to be part of discussions for this legal amendments, etc. So that the thing is going on. And now we have very hot time because we are expecting the next election in June 28th. And the current government is doing very big fight against corruption. Many laws are now also again formed, and we have now the new Business and Human Rights National Action Plan and some other laws in the OGP, the next 3 years, 5 years things. And then also we had the new National Committee for Human Rights, which is actually now making review every year human rights situation from all provinces in capital city, like UPR, you see, so that we have now new opportunities. But the good, it's good, of course, but the important for us is that this should be able for local people, for local civil society organizations, need to be avenue for them to engage effectively for solution of their issues. So this is basically what I would like to. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Urna. You have mentioned some very valid points. I mean, the issues of neutrality actually is very important because maybe we do not want to, side with any country. And the same which we see, I mean, the whole geopolitical issue is so important, is so crucial in our region. I mean, we see the similar thing in South Asia and then Northeast and Central Asia because of the China, and because of the Ukraine Russia war, or because of the China Taiwan situation, or because of Chinese issues, how they're influencing other part of the region and other part of the world. So I think there are strict geopolitical issues that that definitely is there. And then how we as civil society maintain our identity and address the real issues, and with solidarity across the countries, across the region, without getting into the any geopolitical issue. I think that's something very important. We really need to keep ourselves reminded about this. And the second thing about the whole issue of democracy that you said, I mean, Mongolia is a very new democracy. I know similar Timor Leste in Southeast Asia. We'll be discussing them tomorrow. It's again a very new, one of the newest democracy in our region. But I think we have such expertise in our region. I think it's also the time when we talk about the changing narrative of democracy. What is democracy? How do we look at democracy? This is something very important that we really need to discuss. And obviously the issues of civil society, because it's very much linked with the whole issue of democracy, is linked with the civil society, our right to participate, our right to speak, our right to express, our right to associate. This is the very important elements of democracy. So I think this is something that we need to keep ourselves reminded. So thank you so much for discussing all that, and I hope that now we come up with something very important. I mean, especially from Northeast and Central Asia, because as we are talking about that, we see that there is not much involvement from the civil society from even this region. How do we get them involved? I think this is also one of the important tasks. And you all rightly mentioned the issue of capacity development, that we really need to do more and more. So thank you so much. And the issues of donor, and how do we again maintain the solidarity, and how do we strengthen and make this a robust institution that we can generate fund. I think that's also very important. So thank you so much. And this is the so I would thank again Jay, Jamila, and Urna for a very great presentation. And then it's time to some questions. There's a question to Taiwan aid. How does Taiwan navigate through exclusion from UN and still remain as peaceful community? And please also feel free to raise hand if you have more questions. So thank you so much. So Jay, if you could answer this.
The question is how like Taiwan responded to that. It's a political issue. But from the civil society point of view, I think Taiwan should be included in the process of development. It's not because of the who is representing China, but it's because we are people live here. There are like 23 million people live in Taiwan, and the benefit of the people here should be seen and represented, and to be part of the discussion. And actually, Taiwan do have something can offer to provide some, the Taiwan is it's a very good country, have rich enough, we can contribute to the international society. And so, but so that's what we do. And the Taiwan will try to, like in the Taiwan government will follow the UN some SDGs on a voluntary base, and all the human right chapter are like signed or approved by our government, and the civil society play along with that. We try to do the review, and in a it's very interesting that because if in a UN process, each country maybe got only like 1 hour or several minutes to have an expert review. But in Taiwan, because we are so special, we invite experts come to Taiwan and like stay with us for several days. So we do have like more deeper opportunity to communicate and learn from each other. So that's so we what Taiwan can do is we just keep improve ourselves and lead like an open society, like more progress democracy system, and hopefully that can lead the change of China. It's very difficult. Like for I've encountered many like people from China, and they live abroad. And nowadays, when like some of them are like afraid of admit they are from China, because people start to like accuse them like you are from a bad country or something. But it's not our intention. We to people, we are all the same. But but politically, it's really tough. So when people from China, they will say, well, I have nothing to do with my government. They're doing something wrong or violate human rights. It's not my fault. But in a way, maybe like people should like rethink about their position or their relation with our government. I think we talk about inclusive partnership. And so so we have to work or do something or work with the government and convey our point of view or and deliver our voice. But I understand it's very difficult in China when they do that. And also that will like make them a little bit dangerous because they might be put in jail or something like that. So the human rights defender in mainland China is a very difficult situation. I really have no idea how to deal with that. But for Taiwan, what we can do, we just keep thriving, improve ourselves, and learn have how to dialogue, how to like make progress. That what we can do, and eventually, hopefully, they can like see the value because Taiwan play a very important cultural role because we like exist as an example for they talk about the traditional Chinese culture is very different from the Western philosophy or democracy or human right concept. They even like against the civil society concept when they come to the cultural roots. So, but in Taiwan, we see it differently. We think the all good thing and the wish can marry together. Necessarily, we don't need to be like apart from the basic human values and all the good wishes. We should like work together. Yeah. So that's that. We don't have a political power to change that, but we exist. Yeah, we just and we are here. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jay. Very emotional. Yeah, it's a very, very valid point that you talk about. Yeah, you exist, and you are such a great example to the world for the peaceful, just, and inclusive society. Fortunately, we have got lots of opportunity to work with you and Taiwanese civil society, and we know. But and also, unfortunately, we also got some bitter experiences from the UN, where the UN was very clear that they will not admit any Taiwanese civil society in any formal discussion because of pressure from China. I think this is self shows that how biased is the world and how biased is the UN institution that we talk about. And the same UN institution is also kind of spearheading the Summit of the Future, the SDG. So what kind of SDGs were you talking when we are actually leaving not a person but a whole country behind, and there are few more countries which are not part of the UN. So I think that this is something we really need to think about very seriously. Thank you so much for bringing this issue, and yeah, we hope that this comes very clearly. Thank you so much, Jay. And I would also encourage our participants, if you have any more question, please raise hand or feel free to ask a question to any speakers, to Jay, Jamila, or Urna. So
I
I
can
think that we
also
have
Well,
you had a very presentation.
can I like invite like Hui Si and Aoi say something? Because Hui Si just visit Korea and Japan as when the Taiwan aid uh, visit there. So maybe Hui Si can share some of his observation towards like Northeast Asia, and uh, and also Aoi, of course. Please share your thoughts. Yeah.
Aoi, maybe would you like to say something? Because he's also the presenting the closing remark, but
Thanks. Thank you for the opportunities, and so sorry to join this conversation quite late. As I was attending the civil society strategy meeting for the reform of international financial architectures in Bangkok, together with Dr. Arjun Karki. So we're actually in the same buildings right now, but I'm not sure where he is now. Um, yes, I have several things to speak, but I'd like to save it to my closing remark. But promoting SDG 16 is, of course, the primarily objective of the government and civil societies, as well as academics, youth, all the stakeholders in these societies. But we could see that as we have discussed in the past couple of minutes, we have seen that the peace and justice is actually violated by the violent act of the several governments in this region and also all over the world. If you see Ukraine, Afghanistan, and also in the Middle East, and also there in the African continent. So, how we can build the peace and justice and democracies, not only in Asia but in the entire world, is that how we can promote the culture of peace, how we can uh, uh, build the strong notions of building trust among us with each other for the mutual respect and also for the mutual dialogue. So, but at this moment, we cannot see that there is the opportunities or space for dialogue between different stakeholders. For example, like if you as you know, if we look at the relations with China, Taiwan, or China, Japan, Korea and Japan, or maybe even North Korea and South Korea, and also of course including Russia and with other all countries in these regions. So we actually have seen different no, difficult situations on building that kind of cultures of peace. But this is the area that civil society can play for building peaceful conversations because politically, the governments have some difficulties on promoting such conversations, but civil societies has a unique positions or unique strengthen, strengthen, strong positions, or maybe unique position to uh, go beyond the borders, geographical borders, or maybe cultural borders between us. And when we, as Jay introduced, when we hosted Taiwan Aid colleagues last month in Japan, we could have quite substantial discussions on how we can promote the regional cooperations in terms of building peace and also building blocks for achieving the SDGs, of course, including Goal 16, but also dialogue with the different stakeholders, including the government of Japan. So we could facilitate those conversations in terms of promoting the peaceful society, just societies, on bringing different opinions on that. So that was actually the good moment that when Taiwan colleagues visited us in Japan, and also we visited JICA headquarters to have a dialogue with different stakeholders. That is actually the lovely moment for us. And of course, we had a good time for over drinks, you know. So that was actually the way of, building the peace. It's one of the way that we could building peace as a civil society. Okay, so I think that is all from now, and I leave it to Huixin for his remarks.
Thank you so much,
May I,
Aoi.
may I just to add a few words? Thank you, Aoi. You have very good background, actually. Yeah. So, following your encouraging just issues about the peace, and this could be for sure. It could be for sure very actually good point where the civil society can have a collaboration or initiate some initiatives, because due to politicians and the governments have some those limitations, would say. Yeah, but saying also here some issues related with migration, because as I know that this year C7 include migration into the issues related with democracy and the shrinking of civic space. It's not related with migration to Europe or, for example, from Asia countries to Canada, to the US, but in the region, migration in the region. For example, are currently that in my house, in my building, where in apartments, we have in one entrance, for example, I'm living on the third floor. On the fourth floor, we have some migrants from Ukraine, and on the first floor, we have some migrants from Russia. There are uniqueness situation when we have they are renting apartments, they're living together in one building, they're saying hello to each other, because the people, they are running from the war, they want to be and live in the peace, actually in the peaceful places. So, and I think we have to have this kind of the also initiatives or projects or programs initiated not only by regions, but not only by sub-regions, but in like Asia region, that's in general. So, and thanks for raising this issue about the peace and about the, these values of being without war. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jamila. What a beautiful example. Russians and Ukrainian living in the same floor in Kazakhstan. Wow, such pretty beautiful example. And that's what my last question was to all of you. So, what is your ideal vision of cooperation in the future? So, if you have some keywords, if you want to say, Jamila, J, Aoi, or anyone, what is your vision for cooperation? How do you see it? Jamila, maybe you'd want to say?
No, who is raising a hand?
It's ready.
Ready.
Thank you, everyone. And I think I'm not planning to say something. Thank you for your invitation, Jay. And it's a good opportunity to share my experience in the trip in Japan and Korea. I think according to today's event, I think the mutuality and the solidarity is very important. I mean, when we have been to Japan and Korea, we have the face-to-face, in-person communication with the partners, with the not only the civil society organizations, but also the government agency, just like JICA and the COICA. So we got their ideas and their feeling or their experience from them, and we can rethink about our experience in Taiwan or in other countries or other region. So at that time, we can have this opportunity to exchange directly. So I think that is very important. And also, from my experience, I think that in Japan, the CSO is more independent. They got their own civil society, and they operate their own projects or their campaign project very independently. But in the other hand, maybe they got difficulty to raise fundraising problem from the Japanese society. But at the opposite side in Korea, I think um, especially in the ODA official development assistance issue, I think the Korean CSO has more channels to communicate with the government agency. And just like KOICA, they have their own meeting, regular meeting with the CSO, and I think they got some, just like ODA Watch. Maybe current name is not ODA Watch, it's sorry, I forgot the name, but they have their own regular meeting with the government, so they can just point out the problem from the ODA process, and they can share the ideas and their experience to the government. And I think that the different issue. And also in Taiwan, I think the CSO have very limited channel to communicate with the government agency. And from, especially from the ODA field, the government have their own agenda to push the or to promote these kind of the ODA projects, or they have their own maybe diplomatic or political agenda behind the ODA project. And we as CSO, we have our own uh, point. So just like everybody's mentioned, we focus on the people, focus on the society, not the political issue. So I think that very different. So at that point, I think the CSO in Taiwan will work hard to push the government to listen to the CSO sound more and share more experience. And I think the peace issue is very important. So that one is very important point uh, when we have meeting with the Janik, and we have a lot of conversation with the Aoi and Hideki-san, and to share our experience, our ideas about the peace issue. But I think it's very important, but it's a so field discussion in Taiwan. So I think that one is maybe we should push more. And yeah, I think all of the experience exchange is very important. And I think the solidarity with the people, not only in Taiwan, Japan, and Korea, but also in mainland China, in Central Asia, I think all of the people is the most important. So yeah, that's my experience. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Izzy. Yeah, I mean, thank you for actually talking about the difference between the Taiwanese, Korean, and Japanese civil society. And yeah, we have even seen that how Koika is more leaning towards civil society, although they are not giving direct grants to civil society, except I think it's Korea, but through the government. But they are, I've seen that there are many countries, and they are having open communication with the civil society. I think JICA, we have been trying for a long time. I think, we have had discussion with Aoi and Hideki-san in the past. I think, I mean, they are also ODA, institution. How can they also be civil society oriented? And definitely, this needs to be, kind of replicated in other countries as well. So thank you for raising these issues. And so, do we have more questions? If not, the last one that I would want to ask before giving the floor to Avi for his closing remark is, so what is the ideal future that you see? I mean, ideal or the future cooperation. If you have some keyword, then you think that what could be the ideal vision for the future cooperation in our region in Northeast and Central Asia? Maybe Jamila, Jay, Huizi, Aoi, or anyone?
Can I offer to share something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. I'm Leong. I'm from Malaysia. Yeah, this topic of peace is very significant in our country because the composition of our citizenship is very diverse. We have about 60% are the Malays community, about 25% are the Chinese, and about 15% are the Indians. Right, so we have various religion, festivals, and culture, and living together in peace can be very challenging, especially when politicians try to score points among their own race and religious people. So it can be very divisive. Sometimes politicians, the way they promote their cause, yeah. So I'm from a university called UCSI University, and we have begun to inculcate peace and unity among the many diverse racial and national students, multinational students we have in the university. What we do is, you see, there are three levels that we see how we could reach the diverse community. Level one is on the social aspect, whereby we create more activities to particularly get the diverse community to be involved. For example, we celebrate Chinese New Year, for example, and we organize campaigns and competitions so that the non-Chinese will want to be involved and learn a little bit about the Chinese culture and what they do during the festival, uh, why they do the thing they do during those festivals. And when we have the Eid celebration, where the Muslims will fast for 1 month, and then on the first day of the festival, they will apologize to their parents, and the parents will apologize to their children for any wrongs or hurt they have made for the past 1 year. So those are good exercises where we create, example, video competition. You know, people, the non-Muslim will also celebrate this festival, inculcate some cultures like forgiving each other, captured in the video, and they make decoration of their offices, and they make well wishes to all those who celebrate those festivals. So these are the social aspect that we try to do. The next level is the rational aspect, you know, the mental aspect, where we want to have dialogues and forum. For example, we organize an interfaith forum. We have panelists from the Muslim, the Christian, the Hinduism, the Buddhism, experts come and share on one common topic. What does your religion teach you about SDG? What does your religion teach you about sustainable development? Uh, there are 17 goals, they pick two or three goals and they share. And we find common ground where we agree. There are many aspects that we agree. Our own individual scriptures teach us what to do, how to behave, and how to have a right attitude to live together in a diverse society. So we organize forums and dialogues once a while for the mental understanding. And the third level will be, if you reach the emotional level, that is the best, whereby we feel good, we feel happy to be associated with people who are different from us. We are happy to learn their culture, learn about their understanding, and we want to appreciate the diversity, the rainbow of the community that we have together. So it is it's a long journey for us to help our students to unlearn. Why I say unlearn? Because I think many a times when we are in our own, when we are young in our family, we are taught by our parents usually uh, why our culture is good for us, don't get affected by other culture, the others are not so good, our religion is the best, theirs is not good. So I think from young, with good intention of our parents, I'm sure their intention is good, but unintentionally we were taught to be divisive. We were taught to be like me against them, that kind of thing. So we need to unlearn what we have learned from childhood to be more embracing, to strive for things that are common, always look for common grounds, things that promote goodwill and minimize those differences that we have, And I think this is quite lacking in many families, well, at least in Malaysia. I'm not sure about other countries. And we try to do what we can as a university, thousands of students. We hope to help them to unlearn. So that's my little contribution, yeah, if it helps. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's a great one, and I hope that the whole issue of learning and unlearning is very important since we have a multicultural society. I think this is very important. When we are trying to imbibe the culture of other societies, other countries. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. I saw Homji, you were raising your hand. If you have some last minute question, because I think we are just inching towards the end of the meeting, and I think Aoi has to go to his meeting. So before his closing remark. Hongji?
First of all, thank you so much for organizing this interesting meeting. And actually, it's been quite useful and interesting for me to get to know, different, observations in, different regions in Asia. So I quite agree that what the earlier presenters and that we have discussed, and I quite support that and want to reiterate that our wave of geopolitics and populism and different wars are going in our regions, and that is quite affecting the democratic and peaceful environment and human rights situations in our countries and regions. But despite the ongoing conflicts and disagreements at the political fronts, it's the civil society and the people that can really retain the relationship, and the people-to-people relationship, and so civil society can really contribute to upholding that and retaining that. So I think we should keep, maintaining the different forums and platforms so that we can continuously get connected, express solidarities at the times of need, and how we can foster different relations in different ways is quite important. So really the political, agendas and the wars, they can be, short-sighted, and they can be motivated for short-term political gains. But it's us that we need to foster and maintain the people-to-people relationships, and that's how that will help us to protect civic space in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Homji. That's a very good point. Yes, this all the onus is onto us to maintain the diversity and yet open for peace and justice and talking about inclusive civil society. I think there's no society as good as our civil society. Thank you so much. And with this, I will just going to the last sector of the session, and which is where I wanted to invite Aoi from Janik. Aoi, please, the floor is yours for your closing remarks. Thank you so much, Aoi.
Thank you, Jyotsna, and all the participants, and those also are introducing that I might also need to join another meeting. But actually, I need to join lunch before going to the next sessions, because this is the lunchtime in Bangkok, and we will start in 30 minutes. So I have still 30 minutes to finish my lunch. But talking about the lunch and this hotel, it's quite surprising for me that there are Thai cuisine, Thai dishes, Japanese dishes. We have sushi. We have also Western styles, and we also have Indian styles. So we can see that this hotel accommodates different people from different destinations, different origins. So I think this is like relate to Jyotsna's last questions. What is your ideal vision of cooperation in the future? I would say mutual respect and mutual learning is one of the key words for building peace. Because if we know with each other so much, we have less probably misunderstandings, we have less antagonism, we have less conflict, and we can make friendship with each other. And if we have lunch together, we will be more friendly with each other. So I think that the mutual respect and mutual partnership or mutual learning can be a starting point for all of us in order to build peace, justice, and strong institutions in these regions and over the world. And I think we have discussed quite a lot of issues over the last 90 minutes so far under the fourth SDG 16 forum in Asia. And we'd like to thank all your cooperations and active participations, as well as interventions, questions. And this is actually the spirit of mutual learning. So I'd like to keep these conversations ahead in the futures, in the coming forum, such as a high-level political forum, or UN General Assemblies, or the future of the summit, as well as regional meetings such as G7 summit or G20 summit, or ASEAN's or even ESCAP meetings, and everywhere we will get in touch with together, even if it's a virtual or in a face-to-face format. So thank you. I think it's the end of this SDG 16 forum, the fourth SDG 16 plus forum in Asia. And last but not least, I'd like to also say thank you to Jyotsna, our regional coordinator of Asia Development Alliance, who is sadly leaving at the end of this month. So I think although we have tomorrow's the sessions, but some of you may meet Jyotsna for the last time. But although Jyotsna is leaving, you are not left behind because you stay in the civil society sectors. So I think our paths will cross very soon in the future. And good luck on your new journeys, Jyotsna. Thank you.
Thank you, Aoi. It's been a great journey, and thank you so much for your closing remarks. And Aoi is also representing us in C7, and he's been the Sherpa of C7 and also C20. So we have lots of expectations from Aoi, and they have done you have done such great work. I really wanted to thank you because. Janik, you have taken the Tokyo Democracy Forum to such a great length. I mean, supporting the regional platforms like ADA and some national platforms in Asia. So I would also say thank you so much, and I hope that I think what could be the better example of this solidarity that we have been talking since last 90 minutes, that we are across different region, different countries, and whether it and across irrespective of the fact if we are the regional platform or the national platform, but everybody is trying to support everyone. Like Taiwan is supporting this whole meeting, and then we have Janik, then we have Argo. I think it's amazing, and I hope that we maintain this solidarity and support for each other and other. I mean, and this is our neutral position that Udna stressed. I think this is something we have to keep ourselves reminded. So thank you so much. And I will not say goodbye because I know I'm going to meet, I think, most of you, I think maybe all of you in my new position. And I wishing you all the luck and great future. And thank you so much. And Yeah, cheers to our solidarity. Thank you so much. So yeah, see you tomorrow, because tomorrow we have the South and Southeast Asia meeting. Thank you so much, all of you, for your time. Thank you so much, Aoi, Jamila, Jay, Huizi, and everyone. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.